Hey everybody, welcome to a crash course in SEO. I hope I have people joining me. I know we planned for it across the globe, it seems like. So I know some of you, it's evening in the UK, like around 5:30 right now, and I'm in California and it's 9:30 in the morning. So I hope I've got people joining me. So what we talk about is something that you guys can get great use out of. Okay. So I am going to give you guys a crash course in SEO. And I know a lot of people were asking about it and wondering, like, how do I do it? You know, what are the steps I have to take? And I'll be perfectly honest with you. What I'm going to teach you today in an hour is about a 10-hour class. So there's going to be a lot of things that I teach that you'll be like, oh, but how do I do that? How do I do that? And I'm not going to get into the details of the actual how, because we would be here all day, and I don't think everybody has all day. So I'm going to start off with what is SEO? Oh, by the way, if you scroll down in the group, I posted a PDF of my PowerPoint, and right now, oh, Joanne, you're okay. So I hope you travel safe, Joanne. Don't be looking at the phone while you're traveling. So, okay, so I put a PDF that you guys can look at of the PowerPoint, because on Facebook you can only do PowerPoints in Facebook Live if you have it on your own page. You can't do it in a group or on your timeline. So although I have a PowerPoint, I can't show it to you on the video, but you can download the PDF. Okay, very good. So the first slide talks about what is SEO. You know, SEO stands for search engine optimization, okay? And it's a technique that you use to get more traffic to your site. And the thing is, it's funny, everybody thinks I have to do SEO, I have to do SEO, but really you only have to do SEO if people find you through the search engines. And this is really important. If you have a business where it's really word of mouth and people aren't looking for your kinds of services online, SEO may not be your best marketing strategy. And this is important for you to understand, because SEO takes a lot of time and effort. So it's really important for you guys to make sure, yeah, this one is one I really have to do. I could tell you, oh, I didn't even introduce myself. I have, for 25 years, been a web graphic designer. I got into building websites in 1995 when the internet first started. And I do search engine marketing and social media marketing for clients, build websites, print design, things like that. So for 25 years, I've done that. But I also have two children who have special education challenges, one of them very severe. And I've spent the last 11 years helping my children overcome those challenges. And so I recently finished a master's in educational counseling, and I'm moving into coaching and advocating for special ed moms. And so this is why I have the knowledge of SEO, but in the beginning when we were as a group, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about my new business, because that's what I'm trying to grow right now. But so I'm happy to share with you what I know. And so I'm telling you all that because I want to give you an example of how SEO makes a big difference. As a web graphic designer, a lot of people look for people on Google because people don't know who to ask to build their website. And so when we first started doing search engine marketing, we got 0 leads off of Google. And within 1 year of doing it consistently with a plan, 1/3 of our business was coming from leads off of Google. And that's huge. It was a stream of business that we hadn't had before, so it helped our business grow. So search engine marketing works if your business is a business that people are looking for through the search engines. Okay, so there's 5 steps to doing SEO, and I'll talk in a little bit more detail of each one, but I just want to give you guys a good broad overview. The 5 steps are, you got to target your audience. Just like any other marketing, you've got to figure out a way, how am I going to reach my audience? The second is you've got to optimize your website because Google's very picky about that. And the other search engines, Bing and Yahoo, not so picky, but we optimize for Google because they basically have about 94% of the search market. So we usually optimize for Google unless you're really trying to target something specific on one of those platforms, the other platforms. So optimize your website. Create your link strategy. So incoming links are important, but that's changed. Over the years of the internet, it's changed why the links are important, and it's changed this year again. And so I'll talk about that. So you have to create a strategy for getting your links. You have to come up with your content marketing plan. So how are you going to create content so you get indexed and help you, move up to the top of those rankings? And then finally, you want to track your results. How do you know if it's working? A lot of people do it and then they say it's not working, and then I'll ask them, well, do you have a measure of where things were when you started and where things are now? And they're like, well, no. And I said, how do you know it's not working? You might be getting more traffic to your website, but maybe they're not staying on your website. So you may be getting the leads but not being able to keep them, and those are things that you need to track so that you're certain that it's working. Okay? So I'm not seeing any questions. I hope we have people watching, but people can always watch later, right? Okay, so I do tend to talk very quickly, and I apologize for that. You can always leave a comment, say talk slower. I am just trying to get a lot of information in a short period of time. Okay, very good. So when you approach search engine marketing, the big question is, does Google trust you? And this is the thing that you're striving for. Google is looking at your website and they're basically saying, do we trust that you are an authority on the things that you say you know about? And Google looks at this in terms of several things. First of all, they look at the longevity of your URL. So for example, my URL for Landau Design, which is my web design company, is about 18 years old. A lot of history there, a lot of longevity. It's considered trustworthy on that aspect alone. Okay, but then my new URL for my new company, specialmomadvocate.com, that is brand new. I just registered it 6 weeks ago, not even, I think 4 weeks ago. So right off the bat, because of the age of the new URL of my new company, I know Google doesn't trust me. So I have to work on the other two elements of trust. And the other two elements of trust are, do you have good content? Do you have quality content that looks like you have knowledge and authority? And it's not just having the information there, but making sure that it's your content, that you're not copying from other websites or, borrowing from other websites, because then that Google picks up on that and they know that, oh, this is a copy and the other website's older, yours is newer. So you have to have good content. And then the third element of trust is, do people link to you? Are there websites out there who Google considers authorities that link into your website? And we'll talk about how you do that. But so those are the three elements of trust. So this is what you're striving for. If your URL is new, you can't really do anything about that. You just got to wait, okay? So you got to work on the other two things. You got to work on content and getting those link authorities to really link back to you so you look like other people are saying, yeah, this person's an authority on this subject, okay? So doing your SEO helps Google trust you better, which helps you get ranked better. Okay? So the 5 steps of SEO that I talked about, the first one is target your audience. And this is, obviously in marketing, we always want to target our audience, but it's a little bit different when it comes to SEO and search engines. Okay, so you really have to think, is my audience somebody who's going to come looking for me on a search engine? Okay, are they going to search for me? Secondly, what do they call me? And this is a really tricky one. I'm going to tell you a really interesting example. We had a client who ran a daycare. So when I say daycare, you guys probably all think children, right? Well, in the city they were in, a lot of people, when they would search for daycare, were looking for doggy daycares. So when we did SEO, we couldn't just do daycare. We had to make sure the word child or kid was in there because we needed to rank for that kind of daycare. And so you have to really think about what are parents looking for, because in that city, if you put in daycare, the whole first page of Google came up with doggy daycares. Obviously, it was a small town, and a lot of seniors in that town. So I guess a lot more people are looking for a doggy daycare than a child daycare. And so the words that are used to find you have to be client specific. This is an area that a lot of people make errors on, especially if you're technically knowledgeable. You may pick words that people that for you are appropriate, they're correct, but they may not be what your clients know. So for example, search engine optimization, or SEO, a lot of people don't know what that is. So if they're looking for help, they might just be looking for help getting higher in the search engine. So this is important for you to understand, that when you're targeting your audience, you have to know what they're looking for and what they call it, because the wording is really, really important. Okay? And you know, just like regular marketing, you're looking at where are they online, how do they usually find you, and that kind of answers the questions of, you know, how much search engine optimization is going to help me connect with those people. Now, this does not necessarily mean that, like, if you have a main business where you say, people don't ever look for me because what I do is so obscure, or it's really word of mouth, it's a very personal referral. Like, for example, massage therapists. I'm not sure people will just go look for a random massage therapist. A lot of people like to know somebody who's used them. But you may have products that you sell or other elements that you sell which are something people would look in SEO for. For example, maybe you have a blog post about pressure points to relieve migraines or something. So you could do SEO for specific aspects of your business. You don't necessarily have to do it for what your main business is. The goal here is to get people to find you. So don't just think of the I am a social, a coach and advocate for parents, which for me, my main keyword would be special ed advocate, but I can tell you the market is saturated with that. So for keyword identification, I need to be more clever with how am I going to reach these parents. So what are they really looking for? And so a lot of them are looking for, how do I not lose my mind when the school won't give my kids services? So that brings us into the keyword research. So targeting your audience in SEO is all about identifying your keywords. And so this is really important for you to understand because it's a complex area of SEO. And a lot of people feel a little overwhelmed when they have to do what we call a keyword research project. Okay? And with keyword research, again, you have to think like your customers. What do they call the things that you do or the things that you sell? Maybe there's even a competitive product that they call it by that. For example, Kleenex is not an object, it's a trade name for tissue. But people always say, give me a Kleenex, because it's become so branded. So if that's the case, you have to somehow work that into your SEO so you're getting branded for the brand name without stealing the brand name. For example, saying, we don't sell Kleenex, we sell this kind of tissue, or it's similar to Kleenex, or, So you have to figure out ways to weave the keywords in. Okay, so one of the things you can do to figure out what keywords might be good for you is to look at your competitors' websites. there are tools out there where you can put in a website, and if you go to Google, say, keyword analysis tool, search for that in Google, keyword analysis tool, and you put in the URL of the website, and it'll actually spit back to you a list of the keywords that website appears to be optimized for. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to copy exactly what your competitor did, because they may or may not have done a good job with SEO. But if they're coming up in the first 3 on Google when you search for your main keyword, it's worth it to look at their website and say, what are they optimizing for, so then I can start compiling my list of keywords. Okay. There's 2 kinds of keywords. There's what they call long tail keywords and short tail keywords. And short tail keywords are quick, easy phrases. For example, web designer would be one for Landau Design, web designer. But a long tail keyword for me would be web designer specializing in Joomla, or web designer specializing in WordPress, which are the 2 platforms that we build in. And back when we really started doing optimization for SEO, we were really big on using Joomla. If you guys don't know what Joomla and WordPress are, they're content management systems that allow you to build a website without having technical knowledge of building a site. Well, not having a lot of technical knowledge. So when we used to do a lot more in Joomla, now we've moved to actually doing more in WordPress. But when we optimized for Joomla, we optimized long tail keywords. And when you do the longer tail keywords, it's easier to get ranked for those than if you optimize for short keywords, because so many people are trying to get the short keywords. And so if I put in web designer, that doesn't tell people anything specific, and I have literally millions of people around the globe that I'm competing with on those keywords. If I say Joomla web designer, I'm getting closer. If I said Joomla web designer Los Angeles, because I'm in California, now I'm getting really specific. And when you add a city or a location to your keyword, so you have your city and location, you have your keywords, when you add them together, then you get what they call localized search, and then you have some really good long tail keywords that are going to be much easier to get ranked for than the less specific short tail keywords. I just threw out an explanation of keywords in about 5 to 6 minutes, so I usually spend almost an hour explaining. So if nobody understands, feel free to ask questions. I can see if you guys post questions here, and I get that it's confusing, so I'm just trying to give you guys a good overview of what you need to do SEO, and we can always come back. I could do another session in more detail on any of these topics if you want. So there are tools that can help you with the keywords, and because you don't have to just come up with a list yourself, that would take forever. The 3 tools that I've used that I really like, one is the Google Keywords Planner, and that's an AdWords tool. So you have to sign up for AdWords, but you don't have to pay anything or have ads or anything, so don't feel like you have to do that. But you can see my shirt's crooked here. So the Google AdWords tool is really cool. I wish there was a way I could show you my computer so I could show you this stuff while I'm explaining it. You can put in a keyword, and it'll not only show you the statistics on that keyword, it'll show you similar keywords. And what it shows you is how many people have searched for that keyword that you've put in. You can localize it. So like those of you who are in the UK, you can say, UK, you can say London. You can localize to figure out how many people are actually looking for this term. And it also shows you how competitive the keyword is on AdWords. Even if you're not doing AdWords, this is useful to know because it tells you how many people are trying to get ranking or get eyeballs for that keyword. So if a keyword is very competitive, like web design would be very competitive, then it's going to be harder to get ranked for that than it would be to get ranked for web designer Joomla Los Angeles. The other thing that's extremely useful of the AdWords keyword tool is it will tell you if nobody's searching for the keyword, and this is particularly important if you have very technical things that you're selling or services you provide, and you can find out with that if the keywords you're thinking you need to optimize for are really ones people are going to be looking for. And that's a free tool. You do have to log into AdWords, but you don't have to set up any ads or anything. You just go into it and use the tool. The two other ones that I like is SEM Rush, and that they have a free trial and then you have to pay for it. But the really neat thing about that tool is they give you your rankings for the keywords that you are trying to optimize for. So if you put in 10 keywords, it'll show you if you've gone up or down in the Google search results each week. But even better, it gives you rankings for your competitors. So you can put in another website and it'll show you for the same keywords how they're doing. So if there's somebody who consistently comes up on top of you in Google, you can actually figure out, oh my gosh, they are working very hard to get optimized for this specific keyword. I need to do more. Or you can figure out, wow, they're dropping off. I can do more to help me get ranked better. So that's what these tools are really good. They give you a kind of an in-depth look at the playing field. The last one is Open Site Explorer by SEO Moz. And they're considered sort of the leaders in the world of SEO. They were the first company who ever even came out with a website about optimizing, and they've got a blog that's just chock full of stuff. They have a lot of free information. This tool too you have to pay for, but it's very similar to SEMrush. It has a lot of the same features, and it's really cool because it just gives you reports on how well you're doing in terms of your ranking. So both those tools, SEMrush, Open Site Explorer by Moz, those are great. The Google Keyword Planner will not give you feedback. It doesn't give you reports, but it will give you, a way to plan your keywords. And one tool, I didn't list this in the PowerPoint, I see it, and I know I'm going to talk about it a little later, but really, really important to get some sort of analytics onto your website. Google Analytics is probably the best to use, but in terms of your keywords, you can actually go into Google Analytics and you can see what keywords a person used to search and then come to your website. So, a person arrives at your website, it'll say the person went to Google and they searched for WordPress, web designer in Santa Barbara, which is near me. And I can see that's how they got there. And so the analytics tell you if people are actually coming to your website based on the keywords that you're trying to index from. So that's another form of feedback for you. The other websites are just looking at your ranking, but analytics is actually saying, are you getting more eyeballs? Now, if you're getting more eyeballs and not getting more customers, then you have to look at, is my website appealing? Is it pulling them in a way that is going to make them sign up or call me or whatever you want them to do? So in the keyword research, Google Analytics is a good tool for after the fact as well. Okay, so step 1 was target your audience. Step 2, optimize your website. Okay, so this has changed over time. It used to be pick your keywords. Keywords have always been, mostly been important in SEO. But people used to stuff their websites full of their keywords. They would just put tons and tons of keywords and then thought Google would index them, which it did. But then, of course, people would hire companies to do this, and Google got wise to that and changed their algorithm. So your website has to be a quality website. You cannot keyword stuff. You cannot just keep writing articles on the same topics over and over. You really have to present as a company that offers quality and quantity of information. Okay, so the first thing when you optimize your website, you do want to integrate your keywords, but not too much. If you use WordPress, there's a tool called Yoast that will analyze each page, and it'll tell you if you have too many instances of your keywords on the page. So you definitely want to make sure you've optimized for keywords. And one thing that is important is if you are trying to do local search. Remember I talked about using the city to really optimize for local search, doing pages where you list cities in some fashion. So for example, on my Special Mom Advocate site, I have a page where I list all the school districts and the cities that I will go to meetings for, because I can't go everywhere. It's too hard, and I don't want to go everywhere. For example, I won't work in LA Unified because LA Unified is Los Angeles Unified School District, because they are so bad about giving services. I really just recommend parents go straight for an attorney, because that's a hard district. So I don't go to meetings in that district. It's also an hour and a half away from me, so it's not really close. So anyhow, I have a page where I list all these school districts and the cities that they're in. And what this does is it helps to get me indexed for more local cities. So for example, we did a website for an electrician, and we did this similar thing where we had a map and we listed every single city that they provided service in. And this helps you with your local search. And it's totally valid content to be showing users this is, where we can help you. It's not like you're doing redundant content. Okay, so the other thing is there are these tags. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. Each page has a title tag and meta tags and description. These are fields that you can fill in if you're using Facebook or Joomla or Drupal or one of those programs to run your site. They have specific fields. If you're using Yoast in WordPress, it will actually present you with fields and help you with the editing of the fields. Now, it used to be those were really critical because they told Google what your page was about. And now, not so much. So the general consensus in SEO, in the world of SEO, is it's still important to optimize for those, but don't go overboard. That's not where you should spend a lot of your time. Don't keyword stuff them. That's really important because that will hurt you. But so the title tag, the meta tags, and the description of the page should be optimized in some way. And if you put in the description is what comes up in Google, when somebody searches and has that little short description. So in some ways, you can use that description area as a way to entice people to click on the link to visit your page. So the next thing is you have to look at, is your speed optimized? Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. Content. Is your content sufficient? So, for example, I did a website for, who's a realtor and just wanted to have like 2 pages, did not want to do other content, did not want to develop other content, even though there was a wealth of opportunity to create a blog and to offer other information. She just didn't want to. The problem is that when you have sites that are competitors to you that have a lot of content, you don't look as much of an authority. Remember we talked about the trust. So if you only have a sparse amount of content and you don't really update it, you just build it and leave it there, then it doesn't help Google to trust you. So how much content do you have, and what can you do to develop more of it to help make yourself appear as an authority on your subject matter? So the third thing for optimizing your website is speed. Okay, there's pingdom.com and GT Metrics. These two, I'm going to put them in the I'm going to put them in the comments. These two websites, you can put your website in and they'll actually grade the speed of your website, and they'll give you very specific information about what might be slowing your site down. For example, if your images are not optimized, or maybe you're using some sort of pop-up and it's dragging the site down, or they'll tell you if the server response is slow. You don't want to go for cheap and easy on the server. If your server's slow, Google will penalize you for that. So you've got to make sure that your site is as fast as you can possibly make it, given the content that you have. So that's important. Okay, the fourth thing about optimizing your website is so critical. It's the big thing that is, they're all talking about for SEO 2017. It's mobile. You have to have a mobile responsive copy of your website if you want to be SEO optimized. This is not an option. And if you don't know how to do that, hire somebody to do that. Many of the themes that we use in WordPress or the templates we use in Joomla come with a pre-built responsive component to them. So this is really important, because if people are looking at your website on mobile and they can't read it, they're not going to contact you. That's like the basic thing. But for SEO is Google is indexing people in a mobile version and a desktop version. They're actually indexing separately, and they combine the URLs for the two, so that, and then they detect what kind of device a person is on when they click on the link. But if you do not have a mobile optimized version, Google considers your site not well optimized, and it will hurt you badly in the search engine. So website optimization, you must have mobile responsive. And what mobile responsive means is that the layout will change based on the mobile device, so that the layout is optimized for mobile. So when you build your website, it's really important that you look at it on multiple devices. If you're hiring a web designer, they should be looking at your website on multiple devices. If they are not optimizing to make sure that you can display on all these different devices, then Google's not going to like that. Okay, so that's in a nutshell how to optimize your website. Okay, the third step is important about your link strategy. So I mentioned a little bit before about link authority. What that is if you have links from other websites into your website, Google ranks the quality of those links based on how much they trust the source of the links. So for example, if you have a link from Huntington Post to your website, that's going to be pretty darn good link authority. But if you have, a link from some obscure website that, has really bad grammar and bad blogs from, the middle of Russia or something, that might not be as good. And so Google looks at all the links coming into your site, and they rank the authority of those links, how much they trust those links. And then based on that, they rank you. That Google's search engine sure works hard, doesn't it? So it's really important that you really come up with a strategy for how am I going to get those links, okay? And it's important not to count how many links you have, but how good are the links that I have. And the best way to do that is through content marketing, which we'll talk about next. But then there's also some less challenging ways, quicker ways to do it. First is with local search. So the easiest way to get yourself indexed for local search is to get yourself listed in business directories. And there's tons of business directories. There's a website called Universal Business Listing. I'll put the URL. Universal Business Listing. They, for I think it's like $59, you go in there and you put in, name of your company, address, phone, the keywords you want to optimize for, a short description, a long description, logo, photos, video. You put in all this information into Universal Business Listing, and then they go out and they list you into a whole bunch of these local business directories. And that's a good way to get started on optimizing yourself for local search. Also, every single one of those listings is going to give you a link back to your website. So that's the beginning of creating some link authority. Now, because the source website is not at the same topic as your website, those links will not be considered as strong. But because those are legitimate search engines, I mean, they put you into things, they'll get you into Google, they'll get you into Yahoo, they get you into Bing, they get you into things, the business directories that have a lot of tooth to them. They are considered good links. So that's really important. Social media. So social media is really interesting. The jury's kind of out on this one, whether or not it benefits you in SEO. Google says no. Bing says they do consider how much you've been mentioned on social media as a means of just, establishing your authority. Google's insisting that they don't pay attention to it. But the people who work in SEO have said over and over, hard to believe that doesn't somehow affect a person. If there's a link about you on a public page on Facebook, that's got to benefit you somehow. But so there hasn't been a good advice on how to use social media to help with your SEO, because there's no clear answer as to whether or not it's really going to make a difference. And so I wouldn't focus on that, but if you can get links on public Facebook pages or get links on Twitter or Google Plus, if you can have people sharing your information, it certainly can't hurt you. It can help you broaden your audience. And so it's worth it to do it, but I wouldn't focus on it. So because there's no clear direction. So getting links, we talked about content marketing, and I'm going to go into detail in a minute what that means, because that's the best way to get links. And we talked about business directories. Those are a good way to get links. And social media posts, not so much. Twitter seems to be indexed, but it sounds like they don't value it as much. So I wish I had a better answer for that one. I keep reading articles hoping that somebody has a good answer. Okay, so step number 4, come up with your content strategy. So content marketing is the way SEO has moved in the past couple years. And what that means is that you get links back to your website by providing content to other websites. Search engine, I mean, the business directories are a good example. You give them a business listing, they give you a link back to your website. That's just a simple example. But the most common way of doing content marketing is guest blogging. So you find people whose subjects are similar or complementary to your own, and you guest blog for them. And then within the blog, you ask them to give you a long tail keyword link. So for example, I might have advocate attend IAP meeting. That might be my long tail keyword link. and I have them link that back to a specific page on my website. They also will give you, an author credit, and so in the author credit, you can link back to your website. So now you've got 2 good quality links going back to your website that come from a website that you've chosen, that's in your domain, your area of interest, and that creates a quality image in Google's mind. And it's very tedious, it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of content. So this is one that this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. The whole SEO world is that way. You just have to be very proactive about saying, how am I going to do this, and how am I going to do this in a way that is going to create some really good quality links instead of focusing on quantity links. Okay. You have to also think in your content strategy has to include, what are you going to do on your own website to generate content? Because the more you generate on your website, the more authority you get in the eyes of Google, because the more you're showing them that you know all this information. So you got to think about it. You're going to do downloads, PDF downloads on your website. If they're accessible to being indexed by Google, those are indexed. The content within the PDFs is indexed. So that's great for showing content. And also if you have a blog. If you've had a blog for a really long time, going back and editing some of your old blogs, Google likes that because it sees it as fresh content. So you might take some of the blogs that have been most popular. Like I have a blog on our Lando Design blog. We have a blog that I wrote called 50 Ways to Say Thank You for a Retweet. I think it's the most popular blog of all the blogs we've ever written. So it'd be worthwhile to go in and edit it and update it, add some new, maybe I change it to 60 ways to say thank you, and then repost it. And Google sees that as new content. So you really want to come up with a plan. This should not be, okay, today I feel like writing a blog and finding a guest blog. You need to come up with a very specific plan where you say, once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, I'm going to write a blog, or I'm going to write 2 blogs each week, and one will be a guest blog, one will be for my blog, and then every month I'm going to create some sort of downloadable. You see how I'm going with this as a plan, okay? The other thing is there are websites, once you create content, you can put it up. So YouTube is a good example. You put videos on YouTube, and then in the description of the video, you can put keywords, and you can link back to your website. So this is YouTube is a great way to get link backs. Vimeo, which is another video website, same thing. It's a great way to get link backs. There used to be this thing called Squidoo. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that. They had lenses where people would write long pages on specific content, and then Hub Pages bought them. And the bummer is Squidoo had links that were good for SEO, but Hub Pages, no, they don't. They have what they call no follow links, which means that they don't give you credit for SEO for those links. So if you're not sure if a content area is going to give you link backs, then find out, do some research. Say, does such and such websites have do follow or no follow links? Another a place to get link backs is slideshare.net. If you do PowerPoints or presentations, you can upload them there, and you can put descriptions and get link backs. There's a lot of content sites like that where you can put up content you've generated, and then in the descriptions of your content, you can generate yourself some link backs. When you generate your content, you also want to share it. So you don't want to give people copies, but for example, if you write a blog that you think is particularly good, you can approach complimentary businesses and say, will you write a quick review of my blog and link to me on it? So, if you, for example, like I wrote that blog about 50 ways to do a retweet, and I could approach people who are teaching people social media and saying, would you link to this? Would you say, hey, I found this great list. I think you guys should go look at it and link to this. And so sharing your content so people link back to it is another great way to get some links. When you're generating content for your blogs or your pages, it used to be short was better. It was they took this term from the newspaper industry, but they used to say as much as possible above the fold. In the newspaper industry, if they folded the newspaper in half, they wanted to see, what was that just on the top half. This was above the fold, the most critical information, okay? And same in the web design world, they used to say, critical content above the fold, scroll not more than three screens down. And it was just kind of a hard, fast rule, long pages, bad, bad, bad. And that's changed. It used to be they would say, ideal blog posts were 300 to 500 words, because short and sweet. Because the blogs actually originally started as diaries. They were not supposed to be informational. They were people writing their daily experiences. And so short and sweet was the rule. But that's changed now. Google wants to see more information that is quality, not redundant. So don't add a lot of words and re-explain stuff just to make it longer. They don't want that. They look for 800 to 1,000 words is ideal. If you go more than 2,000, it's going to hurt you. So don't make it too long. They want to see inline links. So if you're writing about something and there's keywords in that content that you can link to other areas of your site, that's good. If there's other companies outside of your site that you can link to, that's also good. They like to see you linking to other people. So make sure you're doing those inline links. Remember on your links to focus on those long tail keywords. They're easier to optimize for. And they like the long tail keywords because in their mind it shows that you're really helping people get specific information. Okay? When you do link, you want to make sure you're linking to trustworthy websites. And again, looking for quality, not quantity. So don't make it long just to make it long. Make sure you're really adding value. Okay? So, step 5 of SEO is tracking your results. And so I talked a little bit about Google Analytics. Google Analytics is awesome because you can use it to see on your own what keywords people are using to come into your website. It'll show you how long they stay on your website. It'll show you something called the bounce rate. Bounce rate is if people come to your website and leave immediately. This is a bounce rate. It's an indication to Google that however they got to your website, they really didn't want to be on a website like yours, so they left right away. If you have a high bounce rate, you're either not optimizing for your customers or you're reaching the wrong people. So Google Analytics gives you a ton of information to help you understand the behavior of the people on your website. So it's a good tool for more than just SEO. But for SEO, it really gives you a picture of, are people really coming to my website based on the keywords I'm trying to use to reach them? Okay, and I talked about the 2 commercial programs that I like. There's so many programs. I could spend hours talking about just programs. But the 2 that I have used, and I've probably used about 8 different programs, the 2 that I really like are SEMrush and SEO Moz. I'll put them in the thing so people can see them. Okay. So it's important to get some tools, and it's important to plan time in your monthly calendar to review your analytics, to review what's happening. Is it improving? What I often do is create a spreadsheet in Excel where I actually create calculation fields, and I have things like, how many people came to the site, What was the bounce rate? And I have how many people came to the site based on each keyword, and I track it month to month because that's going to show me, did it go up, did it go down? The SEMrush and SEO Moz, they'll show you how you're ranking in Google and things like that, but they won't give you specifics about your own website like that. So take time in your month to make sure that you are looking at it. It's really frustrating when you don't know if it's working and you're spending so much time doing it and you think, God, like, is it even worth the effort? You might be shocked when you look at your analytics and find, wow, it is working. It's just, you know, okay, I'm not getting customers yet, but people are coming to the site and they're spending more time, so maybe I need to change something on the website in order to get them to engage. You know, I have a lot of people come to me saying that they've been doing SEO for years, but it's not working. And when I say to them, well, what are your analytics looking like? They kind of go, huh? And they haven't been tracking it. So there's no way to know how to tweak it if you don't know what's going on. So tracking the results is really critical. Okay, so that in a freaking nutshell, that's like such a nutshell. That was so fast, and I know, I'm sorry, it's a lot of talking, but in a nutshell, that's the 5 steps for doing SEO. And just to review, you want to figure out how to target your audience where your keywords are really critical in that process. You want to optimize your website. You want to create your link strategy. How are you going to get those links to your website? You want to come up with a content marketing plan. How are you going to create content? What kind of content? When? And then you want to track your results, so then you can tweak. Okay, and so the question is, when are you done with SEO? And the answer is never. It's an ongoing part of your marketing strategy, and I know it's tedious, but your competitors are going to be doing it, and the search engines are going to change their algorithms, so you constantly have to be tweaking and keeping abreast of it. And so just kind of in summary, some last tips. Take time to do your keyword research. It's really the key to getting, and then no pun intended there, it is the key to reaching your customers. If you don't take the time to do a proper keyword analysis and figuring out what you need to target, then you're kind of shooting in the dark when you're doing your SEO. And focus on 4 to 6 keywords in the beginning. And don't pick, you know, high competitive keywords that are really general. Really pick ones that, you know, even if you go into Google Analytics, the Google Keyword Tool, and it says, you know, 1,000 people are looking for this keyword in your city per month. And you think, well, I don't want to optimize for that. That's not a lot of people. But the truth is, if you came up one for that specific keyword, and you got 10 people to call you each month, that's only 0.1% of the people calling you. But still, for your business, that might be a lot. So really picking your keywords can be key to seeing some really fast results. You want to create relevant quality content. That's key. Optimize your website and getting the links, and track your results. So one other thing that's really important to realize, that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You're not going to see results super fast. We usually, if you are consistently doing SEO, you will begin to see results after about 3 months. If you're lucky and you're in a field that nobody else does SEO, which you can. We're working with a client right now as a hauling business who's having very quick results. I'm talking week to week, because nobody else in that industry is focused on SEO. So if you're lucky, you won't have people doing it. But generally, 3 months you'll start to see results. 6 months you'll start to see really good results. And 9 months to a year you'll see some pretty amazing results. So you just got to stick with it. Have a written plan with measurable tasks. If you're saying, I'm going to do this much every week or every month, and you'll get it done. Okay, so that is your crash course in SEO. I hope I didn't talk too fast, and I hope you understood everything I said. Feel free to send me some questions, and if you want me to go into detail on how to do any of this stuff, let me know, and we can do this again. Okay, thank you so much for listening. You guys have an awesome evening if you are over in Europe, or not the UK, because you guys are leaving Europe, aren't you? The EU. And if you're here in the US, have a great rest of your day. Okay, talk to you guys later. Bye.